Hello everyone, welcome to Introduction to InVision Studio. Frankly speaking, it doesn't require any introduction. You can pick it up on day one and do a complete design without any documentation or any help. If you are a designer coming from Photoshop or Sketch, it is extremely simple and easy to use. However, if you are new to design tools or planning to do a little bit of animation or even slightly advanced animated interaction, this video can get you started. Okay, this is the design that we are going to recreate. It's a simple calendar app. You can switch between a couple of months, and there is an events panel on the left hand side which you can open and close as you have just seen. So let's get started. We'll start with a blank document. So this is where you can find all the tools. Let's choose the artboard tool. It will show you all the preset sizes, and the panels are quite simple in InVision Studio. On the left hand side you find the layers panel. It shows all the artboards and the contents of the artboards, and on the right hand side is your properties panel. So we can choose from one of these sizes, and of course you'll be able to change the size once you choose from the presets. We'll choose the size to be 800 by 600, your default dribble size. So the first artboard, we have totally three artboards in this final output. The first two artboards are quite simple. You just have the months, and then in the third artboard you have the events panel which appears on click of this date. Let's create the first artboard and then we'll duplicate and change the data inside the second artboard. So the shortcuts for all of these tools are straightforward. It's mostly the first alphabet of the tool's name. R for rectangle, O for oval, P for pen, T for text, I for image, A for artboard. For rounded rectangle it's U, and for the selector it's V. So we'll mostly be using shortcuts, and you can see the current tool in the panel here if you're wondering which tool that I'm using right now. So we will leave about 30 pixels margin on each side, so that's 60 pixels total, and these boxes are quite robust. You can directly enter the calculation and it will calculate the size, and you can change the radius on the right hand side. So I'll try and explain the first artboard for the most part. From the second artboard it will be a time lapse, as it might get a little monotonous, as we will be doing and repeating the same things that we will be learning in creating the first artboard. We'll stick to the default color palette of InVision Studio, as it really doesn't matter. We are just learning the tools here. Okay, and you can add shadows from the shadows menu. You can change the color if you want, and the distance, we'll keep the distance as 0, and we'll increase the blur. I think that should do. Probably we'll bring down the opacity to about 20%. I think that's looking good. Okay, so T for the type tool, April. So I have recently typed a really huge text and that's why it's defaulting it to that size. So let's dial it down. Okay, and yeah, we can really stick to Lato. Lato is one of my favorite fonts. We'll choose regular for now and see later on if we have to change that. The year can be smaller. I think about 14 points should do. Okay, let's use the rounded rectangle tool to create the week background. I think you keep the height as 30 pixels and the roundness can. Okay, we'll choose the same blue, and we'll keep the size as, we'll leave again 30 pixel margin. I'll center it, probably put down by 10 by 20 pixels. Yeah, I think 20 pixels should be fine as of now. and we'll create the week. So week will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. All right. So that was bad. Okay. So the after will be, let's try 200. Oops. Okay, that's in between lines, not characters. This is a letter spacing. So, hmm, 80. I think 80 should be fine. Let's change the color so we can see. Okay, let's try 90. Okay, 90 is a little bit too much. So 84. Okay. Yeah, you can press up and down arrow to increase the values in any text box for that matter, and the values jump depending on the type of value it is. For example, the point size increases by 1 point, whereas the point size or the letter spacing increases by zero point 0.1, depending on, I guess, how sensitive the changes. Okay, I think 86.8 does not do. Let's try, I think a 90. I think 90 should be fine. We'll change it later on if necessary. Yeah, I guess this is looking good. Okay, so for the dates, let's just quickly see the dates in April. Okay, it starts on a Sunday. That's good. Okay, fine. Alright, let's make a duplicate of this one. Oops, I'm sorry. So you can hold Option or the Alt key on Windows and drag, very similar to Photoshop. I have really not used Sketch, so I'm not sure if it's the same in Sketch as well. It'll create a duplicate, and yeah, it's one. So we will type 1 week, one below the other. I'll tell you why. It'll help us in the animation. I'll explain it when we create the animation. So yeah, 1 and 8, and let's change the color so we are able to see. Yeah, and let's also bring down the after. Okay, 8 is still too much. Okay, let's keep it at 40 as of now, and we can make this one 0. 8, 15, 23, no, 22, 29. Okay, I guess 6. Alright. Okay, I think we can increase the after a little bit. Okay, 60 is too much. I think 50 should be fine. Okay, let's duplicate it. And yeah, Command D also duplicates. Alright, so let's quickly change the months. Okay, let's just quickly change the colors of the dates that are not from this month. I think it'll stick to a lighter gray, or maybe not that light. Okay, I think that gray should do. Alright, I think it looks neat. We have to add a couple of arrows on the right hand side. Let's quickly do that. Let's change the rotation to 45 degrees. Okay, there is an interesting tool here which is cut path. You can just click on the line in between two nodes and it'll just delete that line. Let's switch off fill and add stroke, and we'll use the same blue and probably have a little bit thicker arrow. Let's try 4. Yeah, I think 4 is fine. And let's change the size to probably 10. Yeah, I guess 10 is good. Alright. Okay, so I think 135 should invert it, but it doesn't. Okay, let's try 235. Yeah, I think it's 225. Okay, yeah, it's 225. Alright, let's try and align. Okay, guess that is good. Yeah, I think that's good. Okay, now. Okay, so what we are going to do now is we're just going to duplicate the same for the month of May. Let's just quickly check May 2018 dates. Okay, it starts on Tuesday. Alright, so then this will be 29. Okay, we are going to start creating artboard 3 with the events panel on the left hand side. So let's get started. We'll start by duplicating artboard 2. Press Alt and drag. We'll get a duplicate. Let's start making space for the panel on the left hand side. So we'll reduce about 140 pixels. Probably 20 more, I guess. Yeah, I think that much space should be enough. Okay, let's reduce this 60. Okay, 65. Alright, I think 65 is fine. So we will realign all of these dates quickly. So yeah, just like every other design software, this one also has the distribute tool, as in align and distribute. Um, Sometimes this selection gets a little bit tricky with Studio, sometimes even annoying. The align and distribute tool is on the top right in the properties panel always. So this one is for distributing horizontally and this one is for distributing vertically as the label suggests. So yeah, I think this is good. So let's move all of this to the right. Okay, let's duplicate this box and make it about 160 pixels or maybe 180. Yeah, I think 180 should do, and let's move it to the left by 10 pixels so that we have space. And let's move all of this to the right by 10 pixels so that there is enough margin, between the this panel and the actual calendar. So let's see what are the details we have on the left panel. Okay, we have the day and the date and events and reminders. All right, so let's just quickly create it. We'll start with the back button. We'll probably have a different blue, the other blue in the default panel for this. Okay, it's a little too saturated, so let's see if we can fix that. Yeah, I think, yeah, that should do. All right, and this will have a gradient fill. So first we will fill it with the solid and then we'll switch to the gradient. So you can find and switch between fill types from here. The first one is the solid fill, second is the linear gradient, and third is the radial gradient. And they have recently introduced image fill as well, which I'm yet to try. So I'm not going to go over that as of now. Let's get back to the linear gradient and we'll pick this and we'll again use the same blue, but I'll just change the hue a little bit. I'll try to make it a little darker. Okay, I think that should do. Maybe a little more dark so that it's not, I mean, the gradient doesn't have banding issues. Okay, I think this should do. And probably now I think we can make this a little bit more saturated. Okay, I think this is good. Let's add a bit of a shadow to it. Maybe make this 20. Yeah, I think that's fine. Maybe we can move it in the y-axis a little bit. Yeah, I think that works well. Okay. Alright, let's start typing the day. Okay, the day is going to be 16th of May, which is a Wednesday. Okay, okay. So because we had the letter spacing as 65 for the previous text, it's using the same. Alright. Yeah, Wednesday. Let's duplicate it. 16th May 2018. Okay. Let's select these two texts and make them left aligned. You can, align them with these tools as well. 14. 14 may be a little too small, and probably let's try having a bold text. No, let's try light. Yeah, I think that's better. And maybe we can make this 14 and make it bold. Not bad. Alright, let's move on and go to events. So I will use the same color as the back circle for the events text. Yeah, because it's just a section label. Yeah, we don't want the users to focus on that. We want us to focus. Sorry, we want them to focus on the actual events rather than the heading. So let's make them white and probably add a opacity so that you know there is some level of hierarchy to the text. Maybe 80, 70 is too much. Alright. Okay, so what are the events? Lakshmi's birthday, Gokul's anniversary, and 80 awards. This is just random text. The two of the names are my friend's name. Anniversary, 80 awards. Alright. Um, I think the after should be 0, I guess. Okay, let's make it 10. Alright, now let's duplicate it. So these symbols are from the material icons. What you can do is you can copy paste it from the material icon library. Let's just quickly go to the material.io icons. I guess that's the URL. I'm not sure. Let's see. Okay, that's it. Alright, so the icons that we need are the cake, heart, and the Android. Okay, let's find the cake. They've recently redesigned this material design website, and the thing is, as soon as you type cake and choose material font, it becomes the icon. This is not the case with Photoshop, at least with the earlier versions of Photoshop, I guess. So yeah, this is quite good. And let's try typing heart and let's change it. Okay, it's not changing. Yeah. Alright, let's find our heart icon. No, it's not heart. Like, okay. These material icons are, see, ridiculously named sometimes. I like the naming convention of Font Awesome. What's the name? Okay, let's just pick a random icon. What we can pick for awards. Yeah, I think star should do. Alright. Okay, so the after for material icon seems to be different for the same spacing. This is where I like Photoshop because regardless of the font, the line spacing remains the same so that you don't have to have different line spacing for each font sizes or sorry font phases. Okay, now let's duplicate these two because we don't have icons for the reminder section. Okay, we'll just type some random text here. Call Triumph service. Triumph is one of my favorite bike brands. Pay mobile bill, Game of Thrones. Alright, pay mobile bill, Game of Thrones. Okay, long string. I think we can make these items as regular. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so we'll add an option to add any more events or reminders with a add button. There is an interesting way to see the spacing between two objects. So you can hold option and hover over the nearby items and it'll show the margins and the spacing between those items. So it's 14 here, it's 11 here. That's not good, so let's make this one as well 14. 1 2 3 4. Alright, let's give some more spacing between these two. I think about, yeah, that should do. Let's see the spacing between these two. 20. Alright, what's the space? This is 7. Okay, alright, now this must be 20 as well. Okay, I think we are good. Maybe adjust the spacing between these two a little more so that it's not confusing. Okay, I think now the grouping is much more clear. Maybe do the same for this as well. Alright, I think that looks neat. Okay, so let's move on and add the add button. Alright, so we don't want fill for this. We just have stroke and maybe increase the, yeah, I think that's good. Alright, and let's make this 30. We don't want so big of a button. Alright, yeah, we'll bring down the opacity to a 70, I guess, because we don't want it to be screaming as I use it to add an event. Alright, now plus, yeah, I think that should do. So let's just align it centered. Alright, maybe we can increase the size, the font size. Okay, and let's drop the opacity as well. 70. Yeah, 70 is fine. Okay. Okay. So yeah, we are done with the static part of the design. Now we'll move on to the animation part. I think we missed the back arrow. Okay, so you can move the items, above or below the adjacent layers with the layers panel, or you can use the shortcut. The shortcut is Command Option Up arrow and Down arrow. So yeah, you can find it under Arrange. So move forward, and you can hold Command Alt or Command Option and Control to move it to the top or the bottom in one instant. Okay, let's try 0. Okay, 0 is not that. 45, 135. Yeah, I guess it is 135. Alright. Yeah, let's move on to the animation part now. Okay, animation is super simple to do in InVision. It does almost all the work. We just have to keep all the layers organized and named properly so that it can recognize the differences between two artboards and animate them. So before we jump in and animate this particular design, we will see a simpler example so you guys will be able to understand easily when we animate this. So let's create a blank document and we'll just choose any size artboard, and I'm just going to draw a circle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this and move this circle to the bottom. Alright, so we have this circle, right? So what we're going to do is we're just simply going to animate this circle moving to this position. And all you have to do is on the properties panel, select the artboard and then come to the properties panel, add interaction and choose timer. Duration can be 0 seconds. It can start instantly. This is actually the delay. So let's make it 1 second maybe. And this is the duration of the transition. 0.8 I guess should do. So let's click play. This should now play after a second. Oops. Oh, okay. We did not select any artboard. All right. Mm-hmm. All right. So yeah, that's how it does. Yeah, because this is still in early access, there may be some glitch at times, like what just happened. It just jumped from the artboard 1 to artboard 2 instead of having a smooth transition. So yeah, that pretty much applies to all the animation that you do in InVision. You don't have to do anything for the most part of the time unless you wanna tweak the little nuances of the animation. So let's just first name all the layers. So we'll name this right or up arrow. We'll name down arrow. And these things can be left as is because they are text, they are already properly named. Okay, week box 2018 April. This can be app BG. Okay, we'll use the same names so it knows they both are the same layers. Alright, let's get artboard 2 into the view. Okay, up arrow, down arrow, week BG, sorry, week box. Alright, so this app BG event box, week box. Use a common naming convention. I am a little bit messy, so if you're using smaller case for the first word, always use smaller case. That way it's easier. You don't have to, keep wondering whether did I use smaller case or uppercase in the previous artboard and keep going back and forth. It saves a lot of time, trust me. Okay, this back circle, yeah, back arrow. Let's bring the event box to the top, yeah, just below this, so that we know that every layer from here till this plus icon is just this. It'll help us when we animate. The more organized your layers are, the less headache you'll get when you are animating. Okay, so we are good. So what we're going to do is, first thing is we are going to animate the transition between artboard 1 and artboard 2. We're not going to change anything. All we're going to do is we're just going to add an interaction to this down arrow to go to the artboard 2. So you can again select any object and add an interaction on the properties panel. So we have selected the down arrow. We can leave it as tap, select the artboard and change it to motion. And let's have 1 second duration for the transition. And let's just see how it looks by default. Okay. So yeah, you can go to the home artboard by pressing Command R. Alright, so there is change happening. As you can see, if you notice the month, it fades in, and also the date also crossfades. So what we'll do is, we don't need a plain crossfade. We want it to look as if all of these dates going up and all of these days are coming from the bottom. So what we'll do is, we'll select these and copy, select this artboard and paste. So as I said before, what Studio does is that it compares the items on two artboards and animates the differences between them. So now the layers are named exactly the same because they are text layers, and I just copied and pasted it to the artboard too. And I'm just going to move this up, and I'm going to bring down the opacity to 0. So now what you have to do is, you have to go inside edit timeline and click on this auto link layers. So all of these layers get linked up. I'll just undo that so I can show you the difference. So right now what happens is, when I play, you can see the preview in the timeline. Oh, by the way, if you are wondering, when you click edit timeline, it shows you an entirely different screen with just the artboard and the timeline. Alright, coming back to the differences. Right now, if you see, these layers are not linked. The linked layers will show as plain white fill, and the layers that are not linked will have a gradient from white to gray or gray to white, depending upon which artboard they are. So if a particular object is in the first artboard and it's not there in artboard 2, the layer will have a gradient from white to gray, visually suggesting that that layer will be fading off when we move to the second artboard. So right now, as you can see, we have two layers. So there is one 7, 14, 21, 28, 5 and 12, 7, 14, 21, 28, 5 and 12. And similarly, the rest of the layers as well. Right now, they are not linked by default when you copy paste. So what you have to do is, you have to click auto link layers. What InVision does when you click on auto link layers is that it compares the um, names of the layers as well the contents of the layers. It doesn't just compare the names, it also compares the values or the shapes or whatever the content is of that particular layer, and if they are matching, it will link those layers. So now when I play, they'll all move up. I think the movement is a little too much, and I think it had linked the layers by mistake. I don't know why this May is not showing up. Let's see. Okay, let's not move these little too far. Let's increase the opacity so we can see where they are. I think this should do. Alright, and let's drop the opacity to 0. Let's see what's the problem with that May not showing up. Let's save it and see it in the preview if it still shows. Okay, it's not shows in the preview. Okay, that's because of some bug. It's still in early access. I know what you're saying. InVision has so many bugs. Why should I use it? I think if you want to just make static screen designs, I think the number of bugs that you'll come across will be 0 or close to 0. At least you'll not face any earth-shattering bugs when you do static designs. Only when you get into animation, it gets a little mushy and start throwing showing errors and bugs. Alright, moving on. So now we have that. So what we will do is, we'll now copy all of this and paste it in artboard 1. I know this is a little bit clumsy. InVision is one of their tweets are in from one of their dribble shots, I guess. Somebody had mentioned that they are working on the animation inside a single artboard so that we don't have to copy paste objects and make all of these artboards really cluttered. So hopefully we'll get it in the next 1 or 2 months, I guess. Alright, so again, because we have copy pasted this, we have to go inside the timeline and link them. So auto link layers, let's see a preview and see if it still makes that may disappear. Yeah, so that's a bug, guys, never mind. Be a little forgiving, man. Okay, Command R. Alright, that's definitely not bad. We haven't touched any animation. All we have done is we've just duplicated layers and set auto link, and the animation is there like magic. Okay, so what we're going to do now is, so one of the animations, if you have paid attention to the original design, it had these circles. I'm not going to animate these circles in this tutorial, but it will be there in the file that you can download from the description. You guys figure out how to make or animate these circles. Now we'll move on to the third artboard and animate this. Man, the color looks terrible now. I see it after some time. So we're gonna use a timer trigger from here because we really don't have a circle to click on. So we'll select the artboard and use the timer. So what timer does is, as I said before, it triggers after a particular duration. So we will give again 1 second of gap between the transition from artboard 2 to 3, and we'll choose motion and we'll leave 1 second. Now it should work fine. Let's click this preview. Okay, oh, okay, we have selected artboard 1. Okay, select artboard 3, go to this. Wow. Alright, that's it, guys. That's pretty much it. If you want to tweak any of these animations, so I'll go through this and show you once again. That's it. Awesome, we are done. So yeah, if you want to adjust any of the timings or have offsetting and all of that stuff, that we will cover in another tutorial. This is just an introduction. We're not going to cover advanced timeline techniques, if I may. So yeah, that concludes our introduction tutorial. Hope you guys liked it. Let me know if I missed anything in this tutorial. This is my first tutorial after a very long time. I think after 4 years I'm making a tutorial video. So, and I apologize for the audio again. I assure you that there will be better audio in the coming videos. So you can find the final file from the description. Thanks for your patience. See you in the next video.